I finally know how to say his last name, and that is huge for the team chemistry here. Let me tell you, I feel closer to him already. How you doing today, man?
Living the dream, man. How are you?
Doing what I can. Went a little antiquing with the girlfriend today. It was kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a nice little fall day. It was fantastic. And then also joining us again, Tyson Rauch from Let's Talk Jets. He joined us in week one. We're very excited to have him back. Wish it could be under slightly better circumstances with the Jets being 0-6, but we
Hey,
won't
what
be.
could be wrong with the Jets, man? Like this is a paradise right now.
I guess so, yeah. We'll hop right into it. I was trying to figure out how to ask just a question about the Jets right away, and I was practicing in the mirror because I didn't want to be too negative. So, the way I'll say it is Sam Darnold's practicing again, which is good. AC joint, I had one of those in high school, sprained it. It kept me out of wrestling for a little bit. I know how painful that can be to go through. It seems like even when you're running, that comes back and it haunts you a little bit. So to see him back on the practice field, this might be the first glimmer of light that you guys have seen since
We
when?
talked last. There is no glimmer of light. You guys don't have to pull any punches with me. I know the state of the Jets. I know how bad we are. It's the Titanic. Everything is terrible. And yes, Sam is practicing on a limited basis. They want to see how he reacts tomorrow. Mekhi Becton's somewhat back. There is no positives, man. This is a dumpster fire, train wreck, and epic proportions. And I can see that you guys are both nervous. You're starting to panic because you're like, we can't lose to this terrible Jets team. I can see in your faces, you're both like, how's this going to end up here? I can see the nerves
going
to New York in that turf too, man. There's some
MetLife turf.
There's some discussion. I know Josh Allen loved playing down there. He says. I know he went to back-to-back wins last year. Yep. It's a place he likes to play a whole lot. So we're going to be interesting to see this. And I think the one thing that was going on in our sports radio today was actually the state of Sam Darnold, not from an injury perspective, but from a perspective of trade perspective. Mm-hmm. Do you play him anymore? I mean, that's like the biggest question going around. Not because they're playing the Bills, not because, they're going to win the division, whatever, they're going for playoffs. But do you play him out of pure trade value, knowing that you're going to have a new head coach at some point, whether it's week 8
should have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been week 4, or whether it's the start of next year. I mean, I'm never a big fan of interim coaches because they don't do anything anyways.
Yeah.
So it's you're just doing it to fire him.
It's
so
like a substitute teacher. It's literally a substitute teacher.
But Adam Gase is toxic, man. I mean,
yeah.
This guy's scapegoat.
That's true in your
case.
case.
And the thing is, if you bring in, say, a Jim Bob Cooter or Greg Williams, say, listen, man, we don't expect you to win. We expect you to play all the young guys. Because right now, Adam Gase doesn't do that. He's trying to, in theory, try to play to win, which is ridiculous. Because he's just not going to. An interim coach at least lets you play younger players and at least truly evaluate what you have.
Yeah, no, I mean that's very true. So it's a good point. So at the end of the day, what's the Jets' perspective, or at least Jets fans, or your perspective on what to do with Darnold? Not in an injury standpoint, right. But do you want to see him more to raise his value? Do you not want to see him at all? Do you want to shut him down to play next year? Do you want to shut him down to trade him? Where's the middle ground? But playing him with a hurt AC joint doesn't seem to be the solution I would want as a Jets fan.
Yeah.
Whether once again, if it's the Bills, the Chiefs, or who, I don't really care who they're playing. What's the perspective in New York around what to do with him?
I mean, the Jets epically failed him, man. They did the opposite of what Buffalo did with Josh Allen. They didn't give him any resources. They didn't give him an offensive line. They didn't give him a good head coach. They didn't give him a good play caller. So they failed him. And then he got hurt in the game, and they put him back in, which is even more ridiculous. Now he's here. And now the whole thought is, what is Sam Darnold? And in my opinion, I still don't know what he is.
No one does.
And for me, once he's healthy, which I don't think is this week, if you're wondering if he's healthy, he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
Once he's healthy, you let him play and you let it rip. And you try to figure out what is he? Because if you get any kind of glimmer of hope, which I don't think we're going to have, then you say, you know what? If you get number 1 pick, great. You use it, you trade it, you get all these picks, and then you can build around Sam Darnold. But my personal opinion right now, as of October 21st, a change of scenery is best for Sam Darnold. Like, his time in New York is done. Like, I'd like to see him play and just see what he has. If he gets hurt again, unfortunate. If he plays great, boost up his value. But he's going to be better off somewhere else because now he's getting close to a new contract. And do you feel comfortable enough to say, you know what, we got to pick up your option and pay him crazy money when you're not sure what he is? Or do you rebuild with Trevor Lawrence on the rookie contract?
Yeah.
Which, what do we all talk about? You want to maximize your time when your quarterback's making the least amount of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you want to see Sam play. Hopefully you catch some lightning in a bottle and he shocks all of us and can do things. But in this system with these players and everything around him, I don't see it, man. Like I just think his time is done. It's unfortunate because the Jets failed him. Like that's it's not an indictment on him. It's an indictment on the organization.
And Adam Gase earlier said, I don't know the exact question he was asked, but his answer to it was something to the effect of, well, we've never seen Sam with the players that we wanted to surround him with, or with the guys we drafted to be around him. But
well, you shouldn't have released Le'Veon Bell then, you clown.
Yeah, exactly. And you shouldn't have, maybe signed better offensive linemen, gotten done better than Chris Hogan. Like, I feel like that, and people were, this is the first time when I saw people actually say like, hey, Adam Gase might have a point here. But like, I don't think that, if you saw him with the cast that he wanted to see them with, who is that? Like, it's not even anyone worth really respecting.
Maybe it's Robbie Anderson.
It's Robbie Anderson,
But see, what Adam Gase is finally learning is that you can't scapegoat your players week in and week out because they're all going to start turning on you.
Yeah.
So it's taken him 6 blowout losses to figure, you know what? I can't keep burying my quarterback and keep burying my players. So today is the first day he said, you know what? We can't blame everything on Sam. No, actually, we should blame it on you for not putting him in a position to win or succeed or even be productive. So, Gase is a mess, and now Sam is a mess. And if you watch him play, like, I'm a Sam Darnold fan. Like, I thought it was a great move. I was happy about it. But you watch him play now, and I'm not an expert. I don't do X's and O's and watch all 22 and stuff. But I thought his fundamentals were terrible. His footwork was questionable. Decision-making has gotten worse. His game management is worse. His situational awareness is not good. And this is things that it's like a rookie quarterback stuff. Like, we should be past some of this stuff. Taking bad sacks, throwing the ball up in the air like it's a water balloon. Like, you can't do things like this. So for me, that's all concerning. And it's like, all right, if you're gonna truly rebuild, because we're at rock bottom now, do you do it with Sam Darnold, year 4 and 5, where you say, let's start over, brand new coach, brand new quarterback, rookie contract, and build around that young kid, especially when Trevor Lawrence is the name that everybody's so, he's so highly touted.
Right. And for me, Tyson, what's also not going to go in his favor is, let's say you go the opposite route, one that I don't think they will, but let's say they want to keep Darnold and they trade that first pick for tons of assets. Yep. Now you're adding that onto Sam Darnold's shoulders. Now you're going to be compared to Trevor Lawrence now, and not just Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, your entire career. So now you got another guy to throw in the mix of comparisons. Yep. Now, if they don't draft the right players around him, it's a more colossal failure. Even if they get a slew of picks back for that overall pick. And it's just a lose-lose situation for the guy, because you can't keep him and trade the pick, because what catastrophic levels of just absolute not attainable expectations, because everyone's going to say, well, look at Trevor Lawrence go to Jacksonville, or I don't even know who would come up and make that move at number 1, give away the pick. So there's no easy answer to what the Jets can do with Sam Darnold. I think number 1, though, is make sure he's healthy, right? So, you have to make sure he's healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do
you then go to the system of play him when he's healthy, fully healthy, and think that he increases his value? And if so, what do you think the Jets would take, or what do you think you can get for Sam Darnold?
Well, I play him, like, the whole trade deadline thing makes no sense to me. Like, there's all these articles like, oh, trade him to the Cowboys or the Vikings, all this other stuff, or your Steelers. It's not happening, because you can't do it in week 8, week 9, because what happens if you don't get the number 1 pick? Then what are you going to do? You have no Sam Darnold, you have draft picks, and then you don't get Trevor Lawrence. Talk about a colossal disaster. Right. So for me, I play him and see what happens. Like, he's your best quarterback. Joe Flacco's horrendous. The young guys aren't ready. Mike White's a joke. So you let him play and see what happens. Maybe like I said, maybe you get lightning in a bottle with him. He just comes out and he's pissed off. Like, he's always either injured or something going on. When he comes back from it, he plays well. You're going to get Denzel Mims back, hopefully this week, if not, whatever. You have Crowder. They still have misused Herndon and Ryan Griffin. No idea why. The running back position is terrible. But maybe he comes back with a little, fury, and it just plays really well and changes all our minds. They win a couple games. Like, all right, now we know what we have. Fire Gase, bring in like an offensive guy that knows what he's doing. And, I don't see it happening, to be honest with you. Like, I'm so down on this whole situation. Like, I don't want to see them rush him back just to try to win games. That's just haphazard.
Do you keep him next year if you draft Trevor Lawrence, or do you try to get a second or whatever?
I trade him.
You trade him? Okay.
I don't want the whole quarterback controversy. I don't want the drama. I get him out, change the scenery, get the best you can. And as an organization, we move on. Like, you know what? This is our clean slate. Just like Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, man. It's very similar. Like, you know what? This is Joe Douglas didn't draft Sam Darnold. He's not tied to him, and he's under pressure now too. Like, this whole organization's under pressure, man.
They got to move him. Yeah,
they don't like. So, like, I like Sam, but it's like, you know how happy he'll be to sit behind Ben Roethlisberger or to go somewhere else where he's not the New York market. Half the fan base has already written him off. Half the fan base already wants him out of here. So like you said, if you kept him next year and he has one bad game, we shouldn't have kept him. This guy's a bust. Like the amount of pressure on him, it's just we need a reset, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I mean it's an incredible situation to be in, and there's not very many like it. Like honestly, it's just
the Jets, man.
It's incredible. I mean, I liked what Arizona did early on with making that move and just saying, you know what, we sucked. We're going to change our coach and we're going to draft another guy. I mean, it is what it is.
You guys saw firsthand how to do it, though. Look what the Buffalo Bills have done, man. That's how you rebuild your organization around a young quarterback. You guys did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's at least there's debate in Buffalo right now, and it's weirdly around the defense.
Not used to that. If there's been one constant over the past 10 years, it's been a top half of the league defense.
Yep.
And now that's debated, but what isn't debated here is much around Josh Allen or much around the offense and as it pertains to long term. Obviously, there's short-term fixes everybody wants to see here, but nothing with the quarterback position. And I think seeing what Darnold's gone through and others, even Baker, definitely Rosen and others has made Bills fans say, we don't even want to even test the waters at the quarterback position. So the Jets, you would say you don't have a player so the Bills have Jake Fromm, a guy who's fairly highly touted, fell in the draft, won at Georgia. There's nothing on the roster like Mike White. None of that jumps out to you to want to even see at some point as a guy QB2.
I mean, Mike White's coming out of nowhere. That say you had a little modified training camp this year. Was the Jets probably like him? They also like David Fales too. That what does that tell you? I mean, I have no confidence in any of these guys. They're trotting Joe Flacco out there, who clearly quit last week. He just thrown a ball up in the air like, you know what? I'm out of here. This is not going to work, and I'm not going to play this game. So
I watched him try to get out of the pocket last week, and I was laughing.
It's
Flacco's Hall of Fame bid's really taking a hit right now. Let me tell you.
He just quit on plays. Like he dropped back. Like, yep, no way. Off it goes. There's no glimmer of hope. Like the one thing, we argue all the time on our show. Like if we had 10 building blocks or 5 building blocks to carry into next year, all right, we have this young nucleus we're carrying over. The only thing we honestly have is Becton. Other than that, everything's an unknown. Sure. We don't have nothing else. Nothing we can hold our hats on right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have Marcus May, though, right? I mean, a guy.
He's going to be gone, dude. I don't think he's coming back. He's on a contract here.
You don't think so?
Wow. I wouldn't be surprised. They trade him at the trade deadline, to be honest with you. Because now he hasn't played that well. I don't understand how PFF evaluates players sometimes because I watch the games. They don't do anything. He ranked a 90. I'm like, how? He didn't do anything. I wouldn't be surprised because Gase is talking him up again, trying to build up his value. I wouldn't be surprised he's on a trade market, to be honest with you.
And people are talking. I know the Jets just dealt a D tackle this past week. Who else can you see them getting rid of by the trade deadline?
Dude, anybody. Brian Poole, Jordan Jenkins. I mean, why not? I mean, you right now leave
Avery Williamson, right?
Avery Williamson. He's what? I feel bad for him. He came back from a serious injury. He's playing his tail off.
The Bills could use him. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams. All these young guys. Poole, Jordan Jenkins. You want to shop Quinnen Williams? Go for it. Jamison Crowder? Go for it. I don't care. Get us all the draft picks you can because we're just rock bottom, man. And next year is going to be a true rebuild where you're not going to talk playoffs for at least 2 years here, even that.
Yeah, I mean, look at Miami, though. So put the Bills aside. Look at Miami, too. They were able to turn over some talent there pretty quickly. They got their quarterback winning with Fitz. We all know about Fitz. We've all had him. They're able to win with him, and we'll see what they're able to do with Tua. But their rebuild looks a little bit quicker than I originally thought. And
good coach, too.
Good coach. Yeah. It doesn't take much for the Jets to get a good coach, hopefully, and have the right quarterback and some building blocks and sign some vets like the Dolphins did. And the next thing you know, you're 3-3 and you're a game out of first place. Like the Dolphins, just mysterious time to make a quarterback change is in the battle. 1-5, 1-4. Okay, I get it. With the way the Patriots look, losing to Denver, and Bills are right there. I mean, you played a tight game against Buffalo, ended up losing, but you're right there for a week 17, week 16 battle. I just wouldn't have given up like that this year. But hey, their plan was always this, right? What's your opinion as a Jets fan looking at that move by the Dolphins in the AFC East?
I was surprised because you know what? When you have, like you said, they're still in the mix. Like this reminds me of the Kurt Warner, Eli Manning thing. I think the Giants were 5-4. They took out Kurt Warner and played Eli. Mm-hmm. But the Dolphins have legitimately bought into Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like they're also like he's the emotional leader, the physical leader. You're winning football games. You're still in the mix. And in this AFC East, like you can maybe win 9 games and win the division. You have no idea what's going to happen here. No offense to the Bills, but like we don't know what's going to happen.
It's understood.
Yeah,
so like, for sure. Like, I would wait till you have that 6th, 7th loss. I mean, like you don't have to force Tua into action. Make sure he gets healthy, he can learn. And just I was surprised, to be honest with you. I see, maybe because I'm a Jets fan, I'm not used to being in the hunt because we're always avid by this time of year. But like, if you're in it, like, go for the ride and see what happens. Like, enjoy it. Like, the goal is to win, you know. And I'm not sure if Tua's going to do that. Like, I don't know if I'd want to throw him in here this soon.
They're going to get rocked by the Rams. He's going to go in. It's going to be totally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, we all have hard schedules in the AFC East this year, and I looked at the Jets schedule, and I'm like, where do they get their first win?
We don't.
I mean, you got to win one. I mean, that's the goal, and I think so. That's where Bills fans start stewing, and they're like, well, they're going to New York, they're going to win a game. I mean, they just are. They don't have Dan Orlovsky. I mean, unless you call him up. I mean, that's what I would do. I'd call up Dan Orlovsky to close it out for their 0-16 year. But they're going to win a game or two. So you look at the schedule, and it's either Buffalo, it's New England, the Chargers, maybe, Vegas,
Browns.
And on that note, we do have a question in the chat right now. Is the game this weekend at all? A listener from YouTube asked, "Is it a trap game for Buffalo at all? Is there any possibility?" Yes. All right, that was an easy yes for you.
It can't be a trap game for Buffalo because you guys have lost 2 in a row. So if you're gonna right your ways and get back on track, this is the game to do it. You're chomping at the bit. Be like, you know what? We got to smack these guys around and flex our muscles a little bit, and get back in the right direction. Like, right? You guys should be motivated in this one, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I would probably go the same. I mean, like, I don't expect. We have a lot of injuries right now too, so I don't expect, especially with the bye week coming up, I don't expect them to put like Milano per se. If he's not absolutely healthy, he's not gonna. John Brown, yeah, they're not gonna play. Dawson Knox, he's not much of an impact player right now, but I don't expect them to make anybody really suit up this week. So I feel like the game could actually be closer than we might recognize just because of the injuries on the defense. The defenses look awful. It could be Michael Pirine's coming out party. Who the hell knows with how the defense looks.
Give him the ball.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the backfield, especially with Lev Bell gone now. Like, Frank Gore's not going to do anything really. And I know Gase has said that he wants to give Pirine more opportunities, but I know he had a drop recently that kind of like pushed him down the pecking order behind Ty Johnson. So, like,
the handling of the running backs. And you guys know Frank Gore. You had him last year. Like, you know what he is. Mm-hmm. And the Jets, well, not the Jets, Adam Gase has built his offense around him. Like, run on first down, 3 or 4 yards. Run on second down, lose a yard. Third and long, punt.
Yep.
And then it's like, now they're throwing wheel routes to them out of the backfield. Like, what are we doing here?
That was every drive with Tyrod Taylor for us. And I really pity anybody else who has to go through watching football like that.
It's not. It's so. And then like Gase says a lot of good things like, oh, we're gonna get Pirine the ball more. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And when the game happens, it never really happens. Then he dropped the pass, and then now Gase accuses, well, his body language is so bad, I had to take him out. What is this, like junior varsity football? Like, no, you go back in the game and you work through it. Like this, you don't sulk your head. You get out there as a leadership. You help your player. You don't say, you're
I mean, if that was the case, the Bills wouldn't play Singletary because he makes plenty of mistakes.
It's like what is the best way to demoralize a young player? He makes one mistake and you bench him.
Put in Frank Gore.
Like for Frank Gore, like it's not like you got rid of Bell. Like,
right. It's not like you're jogging in someone else. Yeah, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire or something. Yeah, you're playing guys less talented. Ty Johnson, guys less talented than you hopefully are.
He had one good run. They took him out too. Like it's.
There's got to be some type of thing you guys, or I guess everyone doesn't know. They're like, there's got to be a master plan. No, you don't buy into the fact that there's a master plan with Adam Gase. Like he's deliberately trying to get him a high pick, or
playing chess and everyone else playing checkers.
I don't.
I think he's in over his head, man. I think
that all it is? Is that all it is?
Dude, like you ever watch his play calling? Like I think I think he's so stubborn and so arrogant where he thinks his scripted plays and this game plan's going to work, and when it doesn't. He doesn't adjust to it. He keeps trying to push it like this has to work, and he's so arrogant about it. Where he just doesn't make any adjustments. Like
how does he get another job though? So is he going back?
Well, how does he keep this one?
Well, but does he go back and say I didn't have the right personnel? The Jets.
He's starting to say that now.
The Jets put me in this bind. Look at Sam Darnold. He's so talented, and he had no one around him. So I was thrown into situations like Sam was. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he goes somewhere and like tries to acquire Sam Darnold for his new team as an offensive coordinator somewhere, right?
Well, he already made. I mean, his biggest scapegoat to start up was Le'Veon Bell. He hated Le'Veon Bell so the day Gase.
That was always a contention.
Yeah.
So then it was always like, well, I don't have the running back I want. Okay, so who is that? It was Balazs from Miami. You got him here, and he was a nightmare. So obviously, your running back that you wanted and that you made Joe Douglas get was Frank Gore. That's the guy you wanted. So then it's like they didn't want Robbie Anderson. They played hardball with him. They let him go for Perryman, who's been just dreadful when he's even healthy. He's terrible. So you have Crowder. Then you have Mims, who's been hurt the whole time. Like so now Gase today started saying it. Like he always has an excuse, man. It's not like he never maximizes who he has. It's always like, well, this was okay, but I didn't have this, or I didn't have that. Like you act like you're missing like Randy Moss here. No, these are all the guys you want that are all pedestrian players. Make them better, scheme them open, change your offense. Like, dude, they don't have nobody in motion. You watch them, there's no motion in their offense, no creativity until they're getting blown out by 24 points. Then he opens the playbook up. Like, oh, look what I did here in the fourth quarter. We're down by 24.
They kind of did that against the Bills week 1, where they looked a little bit better. I mean, real late in that game. So there's, I guess that's a good point. Do you know? So someone asked, is Adam Gase the coach if they lose another by 14 plus? Like, is he, or are they going to ride him in week 17?
Like, if you had a checklist of what the top 10 things to fire a coach, he met that in week 1. Then he met it in week 2. Now he's writing a new book on how to get fired. And like, he wrote the book. Like, there's no situation you could say, you know what, this week should be in the week. It should be in the week the last 4 weeks. Like, I don't understand how Chris Johnson wakes up in the morning, looks at his team and says, this isn't too bad. Like, we're doing fine. Like, this, I have faith in my coach. You're getting blown out every week.
When's your bye?
It's another couple weeks, I think, isn't it?
So that's got to be the goal, right?
Why even torture us at this point? Like, if you want to have any kind of like the big joke around Jets fans is Joe Douglas is like, we're gonna have the best culture in sports. What exactly is your culture? It's losing, making excuses, and justifying it. Like that's it. Like, there's nothing here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's wild. So
let's keep how angry I am. I'm literally
no. You should be. We would be here the same way if this was reversed. I mean, I guarantee it. I mean, you look at the Bills fans' internal debate right now is did they do enough against Patrick Mahomes, right? So they're saying Bills fans are saying, there's the defense supporters that are saying 26 points, like 3 times ever under Mahomes. He's let that many points. He didn't look great throwing the ball. It was wet. It was crazy in Buffalo with one of those weather games, and the Bills defense is going to claim, we did our job. I don't care that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we let him. We literally were running into 6-man, 5-man boxes. Like they literally are going to claim they let that happen. So the ongoing Bills debate right now is their defense good enough? And was it the offense that kind of faltered? But the offensive supporters will say, the Bills scored 28 points every single game, and you guys need to help us out a little bit in this game, and couldn't again. They had the ball for 40 minutes, and the offensive supporters will say they could have scored 40 if they needed to, that they didn't need to, but Chiefs also only scored in 3 of their 8 drives, touchdowns in 3 of their 8 drives. So it's just this battle right now in Bills world that, chicken or the egg, like what's going on in this thing. How do you look at that? So if this was the Jets, or just even watching it unbiasedly, do you think that you subscribe that holding Patrick Mahomes to 26 points is good and is the offensi's fault? Or is it like, how can you get an offense going when they run for 275 yards and have the ball for 40 minutes?
Man. Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, you don't run for that many yards. It's very difficult. Yeah. I think at times like your defense held you guys for so long. Your offense can be your strength. So then it's like, all right, then you have the great receivers, you have the running game, you have Josh Allen that can do all kinds of things. So then you guys can own time of possession, then offset your defense if you have to.
Right.
You guys can still get a pass rush. You still have some explosive players. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then it's like, listen, it's the Chiefs. You have good days and bad days. Some days it's a matchup doesn't work. But like, I still think that your offense can carry the load if it has to. And then you have I think game on the line, your defense can make a play if it has to too. Like I don't.
And it almost did. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire almost put the ball on the ground. It would have been a completely different. I mean,
it was fraction of a second. Mm-hmm.
Half the time that ball's a fumble. Half the time it's not. There's no rhyme or reason that his knee was or wasn't. He was going to fumble that ball whether his knee was up or not. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those plays in football where it's kind of lucky. Either way, and the Chiefs got that lucky end of this stick and were able to run the clock out and kick the field goal and go up by 9. Mm-hmm. But the Bills were always in that game, and they played it the way Sean McDermott will sit there and tell you that's how we wanted to play the Chiefs, right? Got a little bit less on offense than we wanted, but other than that, that's almost exactly what we wanted to do. We had a chance to tie the game before half. We stopped them on the front end of the half, on the back end of the half, and we were in position to win. Like I tell people that come on our show all the time, the weather is not a benefit for the Bills. Everyone's like, well, the Bills love when it snows. Everyone has to go to Buffalo and play in the snow. Whoever it is, Pat Mahomes would have to go in the rain. But the problem is when you play someone like Pat Mahomes, he's always going to be a tick better than what you have because he's so talented. It only hurts your team more to have to play in those elements all the time. A lot of these players aren't from Buffalo, New York.
Right.
They don't know what these elements are. They've played him a little bit in college, Josh a little bit in Wyoming.
Built for these conditions.
The weather is crazy. And to always have to play in those elements. You saw Joe Buck say, Josh Allen's off today. And then you go over to Patrick Mahomes and he misses a similarly high throw and he says, the weather's bad today. Well, right. Exactly. So impossible throwing conditions. You saw that, you saw soft tissue injuries happening all across the field in these elements. It was a tough day at the office. So anyways, you fast forward to the Jets game and all of a sudden people are like, well, this is a get right game. The Bills are going down to MetLife. They played well there historically. Even Matt Barkley went down there and played well a couple of years ago. So the trap game thing's real, and not because they're 5-0, 6-0, 7-0 coming off of a win. It's because it's so expected to be a W to get to 5-2 and be in really commanding position with 3 division wins, are beating Miami already. So the Bills are kind of in this spot, Tyson, where it's like, well, they clearly just lost to the Titans. That everyone's against the Titans. That's a story for another day. They just lost to the Chiefs, so 1-2 in the AFC. Baltimore sitting there at 3. They're probably a tick underneath them, and the Bills are sitting there at 4, just in no man's land, having to probably host the Steelers in the first round of the playoffs. Right. This isn't going to be a fun experience, either them or the Ravens, whoever doesn't win their division. They're going to have to host that team in this. So that's why this is a scary game for the Bills, because they think that they're going to come out 10-6, 11-5, win the division.
Right. But I think the advantage you guys have is the Jets now. I mean, they're making trades almost every day. After the game, they traded Steve McClendon. They traded Jordan Willis today. You can almost say they're making a fire sale at some point. And as players, like, you can take their thunder away by coming out and going up 10-0 off the bat. And this team's going to quit. Like, they start out flat routinely every week to begin with. They were down 20-0 against Miami. Every week it's 10-0, 7-0, 14-0, like right off the bat. You can steal their thunder in a matter of minutes in this game and impose your will with the running game. You could do a lot of things. And then once that, there's going to be no fight, man. I mean, this offense is not capable, especially if Flacco's playing. If Flacco's playing, forget it. I mean, the game won't even be competitive. He's just that bad, and the offense is that bad around him. But, so it's like you can just smack him around. And then if you can grind down this defense, because the defense doesn't really have any, Marcus May hasn't really played that well. The middle linebackers, Avery Williams has played okay, but the defensive line's been horrendous. Like, they're not stopping the run consistently. You can wear them down and defeat them and steal their will by the second quarter. And you know what I mean? Like, just come out strong and motivated, and they should dominate. You really should. I hate to say it. I'm just being honest. It's just, this is the state of this locker room right now. Once you get rid of Bell, you do all these things, you're making trades. The players know, Greg Williams and Adam Gase are bickering back and forth. It's all setting up to be just another embarrassing performance.
And I'm kind of wondering, like you say, bringing up the players with Bell's departure, has there been a reaction from the players? Like, how
they're all shocked, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, everyone, it's so funny because the media I have a big problem with the New York media right now, because what the Jets do is they spew the narrative to the media, and the media tries to tell the fans what's going on. And most of the fans know more than the media does, because we have access to all the players and everything else now.
Yeah.
So they try to portray this message like Le'Veon Bell was this big problem in the locker room, and big this and big that. Meanwhile, according to every player we've talked to and everybody else, they said he was a great teammate. He worked hard. He wanted to win. Even when Gase was crapping on him, he was backing up Gase. Like, you know what? We're going to work hard. So then, Sam Darnold was shocked. Chris Herndon was shocked. They're all like, dude, they got blindsided to all of them to get released, no less. So that's like, all right, this is a guy that a lot of these young players actually looked up to. Yeah. You got to keep in mind, Michael P. Ryan looked up to Le'Veon Bell like one of his heroes. Like, this is a guy, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, wow, this is Le'Veon Bell I'm playing next to, and now he's released. So now you're looking around like, okay, who's next? Because obviously nobody's untouchable here. And who's going to be our leader? So now Frank Gore and Joe Flacco are your leaders. How pathetic is that? Because you both know, if you're a player that's going to be here for a long time, you're like, these guys aren't going to be here next year. Like, I'm not listening to these clowns. It's.
Hey, they played in a Super Bowl against each other, though, didn't they?
If this was 10 years ago, it'd be fun. But this team is searching for answers, especially on offense. If Flacco plays, he's got no mobility. He can't do anything, man.
And, a tiebreaker in this situation, it's not going to mean much to Jets fans, but if a tiebreaker should be, the Bills are very interested in Bell. Like, they would not have brought in someone that's bad in the locker room, especially right now, especially needing wins and being right in the thick of the AFC total race after just dropping to the 2 top AFC teams. They're not going to be bringing in players that are going to bring down the locker, trust me. So that should be a tiebreaker to say if the Bills are right there in the debate to get in Le'Veon Bell. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for the Chiefs, I do think they would have done enough to get him over Miami. So we don't know. Like, the Bills came out and expressed how interested they were, which is rare for Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane to come out and say, we are interested in him and we are talking to him currently. So that was something. And then he was said to be in the final 3. So the Bills would have been a great addition to them. Zach Moss has been a little bit slow getting going, and they would have looked up to have a veteran, a leader in the running back. They like to have a leader in each room.
A leader in the room.
And that would have been Bell. So the tiebreaker in the whole situation would be, well, our division rival, was interested in him for not just his play, but his leadership and his ability to be good in the locker room and play well. So to me, it's looking like it just doesn't jive what's going on. I'm a Yankees fan, by the way, so I'm used to New York media, very, very much so. So to me, I can kind of grasp a little bit on what's going on with the Jets right now, and I just that's what I'm saying about Darnold. Like he doesn't have a way out. Like there's just no way out for him to ever be successful in this experience. And
well, I mean, look what Gase is trying to sell today. Like Gase is like, well, we're getting some of our guys back. Okay, well, first of all, Perryman came back last week, was horrendous, and he got hurt again. Denzel Mims, the prize rookie, had no training camp. Like he hasn't even touched the NFL, like an NFL like practice field, nothing. So his first game back, he's gonna be like, "What the hell is this offense?
He's your Zach Moss.
Where do I run? What do I do?" He's gonna be so far in his head. So these prize pieces that Gase is talking about are not gonna help. And they haven't used Chris Herndon has been a colossal flop this year.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like a great tight end. Yeah. I mean, like he's someone that I was going after in like fantasy leagues. Someone I look at like as a tight end streamer and everything. Unfortunately, I'm also looking at LaMichael Pirine as someone I might have to play this week because of injuries and everything. Not looking forward to that. I was secretly hoping for some reassurance from you. Didn't get that, but that's okay.
I mean, hey, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran for 250 yards. That's your reassurance that the Bills probably will do the same thing to the Jets. I'm going to imagine they're going to let him run the ball and just say, if you're not getting big chunk plays, there's no way you're going to be an offense.
Line's banged up, man. Like Mekhi Becton is questionable. Alex Lewis is hurt. Connor McGovern's been average. Greg Van Voten's been I mean, their offensive line is banged up and it's a mess. And you guys can get to the quarterback, especially when Flacco can't move. You can collapse the pocket and just run him over.
Right. Yeah. That's certainly what it seems like. And a guy, not talked about enough, Jamison Crowder. He's good. He always seems to hurt the Bills and maybe other teams as well. He seems to have a big asset. You paying him $10 million against the cap. Is he a guy that you should probably move in the next week or two?
Wouldn't surprise me at all, man. Because he's getting a little older. He's been banged up too. And then he popped up on the injury report today, which was like out of the blue. He got injured. Like now, how the hell did he get hurt in practice? But he's the safety valve, all reliable, yards after the catch, very tough, never quits, excellent player. And if you can game, he's older though. I think he's 28, 29. Isn't he a little bit older?
Yeah,
he's up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is he a rebuilding piece to the puzzle? I mean, especially for a slot receiver paying him that much, I could say, you know what? You get any kind of value for him, you can ship him out. I'm in go mode, man. Just as many draft.
Who do you keep? How about that? Who do you keep?
It is.
The punter.
Becton.
The punter.
You like man?
Becton, and then that's pretty much it, man. I mean, we don't know what we have. But we our prize rookie class. They've all been hurt. Almost everyone's hurt. And then when they do come back, they don't get played. Like Ashton Davis is highly touted safety.
I was going to say Ashton Davis, yeah.
And he hasn't played. And Bradley McDougald's been awful. Like the only safety in the league is scared of contact. Like he literally runs away from contact. He's horrible. This is the problem we have. Like I think Brian Poole's a very good corner. He's played very well. But I wouldn't be surprised to look at moving him. He's on a 1-year contract. He may want to get out of Dodge. Probably tired of losing. Jordan Jenkins in the right defense is serviceable. But I mean, there's nothing. Marcus May is a decent player, but he's a little bit older. And how much a lot of these guys want to win, man. Like they already sat through a couple of years of losing and this terrible environment. They probably want greener pastures at this point.
Yeah, I would think like Quinnen Williams would be a guy, like if anyone, regardless of how he is or isn't playing this year, what you'd want next year. Is that not true?
I mean, you know what the weird thing about him is? He always makes a splash play, and he always gets a penalty on the same play. He's due for 2 face masks every game off a sack or a great tackle for a loss. Mm-hmm. You just wait for it. Quinnen Williams made a play. Oh, there's the flag. It's like simultaneous, like boom, boom. And he's explosive, but the problem with him is almost like Leonard Williams with the Jets. Is Quinnen Williams shows flashes, but for where he was drafted at, it doesn't you want more. You want that dominant, game-breaking, explosive player. If he was drafted at 15 or 18 or somewhere else, all right, we can tolerate this. You're a top 5 player, man. We expect so much more. Then we get disappointed.
Yeah. Now, Jordan Willis, a guy traded today randomly. Guy doesn't play much. What's San Francisco's deal wanting to acquire your backup edge defender?
Who knows, man? These 6th-round picks. Now Joe Douglas is all about these 6th-rounders and 7th-rounders. And
they traded a 7th this year for a 6th next year, which is almost what the price is anyway. So was that just they were going to cut him and then San Fran was like, we'll give you a little tiny bit of sugar,
to make you look better. Yeah, I have no idea. The guy doesn't even play, man. I don't know.
That's what I was wondering. Why would you trade for a backup on the Jets? I don't know if you knew some secret Jordan Willis nugget.
We were all shocked. We're like, what? Like he barely makes plays. Like we don't. I have no idea.
But you couldn't get anything for Le'Veon.
or something. I mean, whatever. And it ended up actually backfiring when the Bills did a similar thing in early 2019 where they traded White Teller, a guard.
He's like the best
guard in the league for the Browns. So
who'd you guys cut today? Quentin Spain?
Yeah, so they cut Quentin Spain. Big controversy up here. People are trying to figure out what's going on with that guy. They just signed, 3 years, $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
Played really well last year. The line was pretty good. The next thing we know, Cody Ford, our highly picked right tackle, switches to right guard and then over to left guard where Quentin Spain was. And then Spain goes to the bench randomly, and they put in Brian Winters at right guard.
Awful, and you know that.
I told you guys. Remember, I told you guys.
I believed you, but I didn't want to.
Yeah. So now there's, obviously John Feliciano, like one of their better players, is coming back either this week. I would imagine this. There's no way you cut Spain and not play Feliciano. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine he jumps into the lineup, and they were like, you know what? We're going to take Winters. Spain kind of was weird about the whole thing. And like I said, the Bills don't take that. Like they will not take any guff whatsoever. And they were like, we're paying you money. We're going to take you off. We're going to eat it this year. And we're going to take it off the Bucks next year. And you weren't playing well enough to give us guff as just a serviceable left guard. So something weird's there. Then he tweeted out, like, you don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
The Bills don't deal with that. So they were like, you're gone. And they're really, in fairness to Spain, though, they're working forward, man. They took him high. But it's kind of like you just said about Quinnen. It's not quite as high as that, early 30s. But they're making it work. They're moving him around. If he was a 6th-round pick, Bills fans would be like, all right, we like what we have out of Ford. But he was taken early. Yeah. Bills fans thought they were getting DK Metcalf. He was a guy that we needed a receiver pre-Diggs. He was a guy that was in here for a visit. He was said to love it here. We were said to love him. Mm-hmm. The next thing we know, we're taking Cody Ford, which was like a fairly highly touted tackle prospect who just didn't work out at right tackle. Hasn't to this point. Moved him to right guard, a position we had open. For some reason, the position of versatility of the right guard didn't work for him. So the next thing we know, we're benching Quentin Spain and playing Cody Ford at left guard. So Quentin Spain's like, I earned this. You just paid me. I was, I was a guy you liked, played really well last year in this scheme. The next you're benching me for a guy you've moved 3 times. I'm assuming that's what happened behind closed doors. Like, you're moving this guy over who's been bad on the right side of the line to my position and benching me because he can't play another position. Keep me at left guard and work on him somewhere else on the right side. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. He was probably mouthing off potentially. And then he had a bonus escalator where he was paid $30K per active game day paycheck. Yep. That had to have played a role in it. So the Bills started scratching him. If he's not going to start, they're not going to keep him on the bench for $30K a game. Mm-hmm. Right. Especially the Bills like to spend to the cap now, they need that money next year, potentially to sign Matt Milano. So that's what happened a little bit. And it was just a bizarre day. So from last Tuesday, where the Bills were 4-0 going into a weird Tuesday game against the Titans, to today, exactly a week and a day later, been a weird week in Bills Nation, going from 4-0 to a weird game against the Titans where they were like, everyone's against us, everyone hates us, we're the Houston Astros, whatever. And to that weird changed KC game where they got extended rest. Titan fans like to remind us they won a game against the Texans off 5 days rest. But at the same time, we didn't get to sit a week out. Like they got 16 days, which is actually, how about this, Tyson? The most a team has ever gotten underneath the Super Bowl era. 16 days of rest before in between games. 15 was the previous high. So they got to rest. So maybe there's something to rest over walkthroughs. Like maybe rest. Maybe Adam Gase will disagree, but maybe rest matters when your guys are getting healthy. Derrick Henry's able to rest his leg. Whatever. They're able to do rehabs on their own. And let's be honest, the Titans were still practicing.
Yep, they sure were.
So now we see the Vegas sending home their whole offensive line and watch them push that game. But meanwhile, the Titans, literally, they bent over backwards for.
Yep, which is crazy. Yep.
So, it'll happen to your team, it'll happen to my team, and we'll get screwed. But the Titans got bent over backwards for.
Yep.
That's a story for another day. Mm-hmm. I guess that is a good question. What's your opinion on, from an outside perspective, on what happened in Tennessee? Really affected the Bills, one of the most teams affected by it. And we saw that with 2 losses. The Bills said they had a game plan for 2 top-end opponents in a 7-day stretch. So what's your opinion on what happened in Tennessee with COVID? Like, where do you come in looking at that from just your perspective?
For me, it seems like the NFL doesn't seem prepared for a lot of situations, and they had so much time to do it. Like you had this entire offseason, you had no preseason, you had all this time to say, okay, what's our plan B? What's our plan C? What's our plan D? Then they get smacked in the face of it, and they panic, and they just make weird decisions. And like to not have any repercussions when there's clear rules being broken, and it just, like the one thing a lot of people are saying, look, add a week 18 or add another week, and you could push Super Bowl back to March 7th, and all these different things. It seems like they panic. It's like the show must go on, and we don't care who gets burned by it. They just don't care. It's like all about money, TV, like the TV revenue and the viewers and everything else. But I don't agree with the half things the NFL is doing right now. They just don't. It's just like we don't care who gets impacted. You want to play on a Tuesday, you play on a Tuesday. You play on a Thursday, Wednesday. Like they don't care, dude. It's just like let's get the game in no matter what. We don't care what the impact is to the team.
Yeah, and
that's because you can make a case they should have forfeited a game. Then if you forfeit, the players don't get paid. Well, I mean. Then you should have figured out a way to not, have a situation where players do get paid. Like they didn't.
I thought Tennessee should have gotten
man.
fined enough to pay the Bills and the Titans payroll,
absolutely,
as well as the forfeit. I mean, quite frankly, that's what they deserved, and the NFL came down, and not only did that, they gave them the Astros punishment of really nothing.
Yeah, of course.
And
the Astros got punished more.
Yeah,
they're saying, it's a unique circumstance. Yeah, it's a unique circumstance you should be prepared for. And there's something if you break the rules, you don't. That's like they broke rules. Like they did something.
They didn't wear masks.
But they broke it, and now they're one of the best teams in football. And it's like, oh, no big deal. Let them keep rolling.
The GM admitted that they weren't wearing masks.
Yep,
it had an outbreak.
But he also said that it's no other teams are fully complying either, which you can't say that. You can't assume that. I guarantee there's no.
You almost can
like
assume that
that
they are. Look at I don't know what the Jet situation is around COVID. The Bills haven't had any cases. Knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people complying. They are complying.
The closest thing we've seen is the Oakland Raiders dinner party thing for Darren Waller's charity, which was stupid in its own right.
They fine guys, which is crazy too. Like you're finding guys at a charity event. I mean, that's.
But then you don't do anything organizationally to the Titans for
that's. Like the NFL is such hypocrite. They're hypocrites of so many things. Like they'll find a guy for wearing the wrong socks, or a guy at a charity event taking a picture.
I remember.
How about a fifth-round pick for pumping in music for the Falcons, who are now allowed to pump in music, and then you go and break protocol around COVID, and that's not even a fifth-round pick to you, but pumping in crowd noise when it's already fairly loud in a stadium is worth a fifth-round pick.
I remember when D'Angelo Williams wore breast cancer awareness cleats for his mother who had just passed away.
Yep.
And the NFL fined him for that. Like it's
yeah. They would ask players. Players would ask me to do 9/11 tributes. Nope, can't do that. You get fined for it. Like what?
I guess not every commissioner can be Adam Silver. I guess, but you don't have to be Adam Silver.
Not everyone's Joe Buck on a hot mic complaining about
it's true too.
So I guess it is what it is on that. So we'll get into score predictions here. I mean, obviously it's not going to be fun for you, but give me something before we get into score prediction. Give me something. How would the Jets win? It doesn't need to be against the Bills. Maybe it is. How will they win a game though? Like give me something. Are they going to run it really well? Are they going to find Mims and Crowder and just have this passing game randomly with Sam? Like what is the way for a win if it doesn't? Once again, it could be a Vegas, it can get the Rams, it can be against the Bills. What's the way for a win to the Jets? How will they win a game? That's the question. If they do.
The only way they win a game is Sam Darnold wheeling and dealing, running the ball, throwing around. You get Mims back, you get Perriman back, and you just let them air it out. And stop with the conservative play calling. Stop being so cautious. Stop with the first, second down running plays. Stop featuring Frank Gore. Let the kid play. Let the kid audible. Just let him be free, man. And that's your only chance. The defense is not good enough to win football games. I mean, they had a spirited effort in the second half last week, but people forget they got roasted in the first half for 21 points. So that kind of gets lost in the equation somewhere. I'm not sure why, but it's on Darnold. The only way they win is Sam Darnold. Flacco's not going to do it. There's nobody else on this team that can win a football game.
When do you see that win? What's your prediction?
Dude, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith because I think the more you lose, the more guys are going to quit.
Yep.
They're clearly trying to trade away players. So once the trade deadline comes, how many other guys are going to be gone? And then you have a lot of guys coming back, like Bryce Hall will be back soon, like week 8, a young corner. So if you can get Pierre Desir out of here, I'd be happy. I'd walk Pierre Desir to the airport myself and get him out of here. But let all these young guys play. And then if you lose young, you don't mind. But then when you have a lot of young guys playing, a lot of mistakes, a lot more,
I think you could win some games on the stretch if you keep Darnold, fire Gase, get rid of the trade deadline, because all your players have to be on edge. How do you play knowing that, look at McClendon, right after the game on a Sunday, you're traded. Maybe that's a good news for you.
But Tampa Bay, man, he drove right there. He didn't come home. He's like, I'm going right now. I'm ready to win.
I think that day will come. week 9, week 10, those games, I think there'll be a game where the Jets do something right.
It could be like, it's going to be a team that's kind of under some turmoil. It could be like the Browns, like a team that's just going through a mess where like Baker Mayfield's getting run out of town now, and they're a team that's kind of like, maybe you can get like maybe San Diego, you can get to Herbert, kind of confuse them or something like that.
Sure.
But it's going to be something, like, I don't know, man. Like, all these, like, you talked about our schedule, man. You have the Seahawks, the Chiefs. I mean, you guys, we haven't played the Patriots. The Patriots. I mean, it's just there's so many matchups and then the only other factor is at some point you get demoralized and you stop fighting. You just give up. Like,
exactly.
Going in on game day, you have no chance to win, and you play like that. And the problem is with the Jets, you don't get benched for that. Like, you can play terribly, and there's no accountability. They're going to keep trotting you back out there because nobody holds you responsible. So
maybe it's a bad Tua game you get to at some point.
That could be. I was just thinking about that. Maybe it's Tua. Like, you got to look at maybe a young quarterback. There's just not
true.
much.
All right, game predictions. We'll bounce it over to you to start off with. I mean, you said all the things that they might be able to do at some point. Does it happen this week? And what are you seeing as far as week 7 goes?
To me, there's so many unknowns with Becton and Sam Darnold both questionable for the game. Mims coming back potentially is great, but he hasn't played. Vincent Smith hasn't played. Like, there's so many pieces coming back, but they're just not going to be in football shape or not be in sync. The offensive line is banged up. Alex Lewis is probably not going to play. Greg Van Roten hasn't been good. This is tough, man. What you guys do well with your team speed. We don't have a lot of team speed on defense. That's just a fact. It's just getting worse with all the injuries and everything else. So if our defensive line can't get any pressure, which they haven't, they can't stop the run, which against you guys where Josh Allen can make all kinds of plays. I don't really understand how you guys don't control time of possession and just maul us and ground. You can actually ground the pound this right out of the stadium. Like, it could be that kind of game. Like, it could be like a 21-10 game, but the score won't reflect how bad you whoop their ass. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be like just that kind of you can be more physical and you're going to play with more confidence. It's just there's nothing like I hate talking like this, but I just don't see any life in this team, especially if Flacco plays. Forget it. There's not even will be competitive at all. Sam may give you a spark, but then you're like, is he one hit away from being back out? And how much is the injury?
Yeah.
And how much does the injury hurt him? Furthermore, how much will Adam Gase cater his offense and make it super conservative, where he's scared to let him throw the ball, scared to let him get hit? I have no faith in none of it, dude. I really don't. Like, there's so many.
I wouldn't play him unless he can have a full game plan.
He can't.
No. If
you're going
to play, if you're scared to throw the ball because of injury, he shouldn't be in the game. Like, Mekhi Becton, if you're worried about his strength, which is his game, like, he's all about dominating. If you're worried about him having the ability to push guys around, he shouldn't be in the game. He's a rookie. Like, you're not playing for a playoff spot.
No, that's your future left tackle. Like, I don't.
Yeah, like, why push it? Like, why put in situations that you don't need to be in?
They won't push. I could see them pushing Darnold. I don't see them pushing Becton. That's
they put him back in the game when he was hurt.
That's so stupid.
You know the story, right?
Maybe they will push.
No,
him.
honestly,
you
we
don't
don't
know
know.
Mekhi Becton's story?
No.
Oh, let me share a story with you here real quick. So Mekhi Becton was an emergency backup for the game. He couldn't. They didn't want to play him, but he wanted to play so bad. Like, we're going to keep him on the bench as an emergency backup. And that first quarter, they had to use him, and then he got hurt in the game even worse.
Oh,
the same game that Sam Darnold got hurt. So this is your future left tackle, a physical presence that had he was injured, that he shouldn't have been suited up, and they put him in, and he got hurt worse, and he's been out since.
Yikes!
Like, you cannot mismanage things any worse than your Jets did with Darnold and Becton.
Like, you just didn't want to play like somebody else in that spot.
You got to say, you know what? You saved the player from
like Connor McDermott. I know you have Connor McDermott.
He's
like,
terrible. But, like, you know what? At this point, a young player, if you ask, like with fighters, a guy can have both eyes black and blue, his nose bleeding. Do you want to continue to fight? Yeah, I want to play. You save the player from himself. Say, listen, we appreciate you want to be a leader. You want to be with your teammates, but live for another day. This is week 2, week 3. Yeah. We want you here for 8, 9, 10, 11. Like, we want you here to play for a long period of time. Sit this one out. Come back next week.
What made him play? Did Fant get hurt, or like who went out that made him?
Like 2 or 3 guys. They all start dropping like flies, man. So it was like Fant got hurt, Dogo, so they were all just dropping. So, like, all right, we're gonna put him in. He shouldn't have been suited up.
I liked a little bit what I saw from Adoga too.
That guy. I mean,
no.
Fant, to be honest, Fant's played pretty well. I'll give Fant. Like, I was really hard on that signing. I hated it. He's played better than I thought he was, but he's been banged up too. They've all been banged up. The whole line's all banged up.
That's not going to help anything. Yeah, I mean, I hope they protect Sam, but it doesn't seem like they care. Jake, what do you got for this game, and why?
So
He's confident now. Like he's smiling.
No, I'm not. See, like, I'm not confident because, like, it's 2 straight games where the Bills didn't look like they could hang with 2 teams that were expected to, like, compete with. And every game at the end of it, it's like, guys, look, they're fist bumping on the sidelines. It's okay. Like, no, I don't want another week of we lost a game and they're fist bumping and they're happy on the sidelines and they're going to come back from it. Like, sure, culture is good, but, you know, at one point you got to win a game. I don't think this is going to be a week where I have to worry about that again. But hypothetically, actually, no, not even hypothetically, because if the Bills lost to the Jets, there would be no fist bumps on the sidelines, let's be real. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be like a calculated win. I'm going to go with like a 24-10 win. And, you know, especially with the injuries and everything, I wouldn't play Milano, like I said. I wouldn't play John Brown. We're not going to be at full strength. We just want to get out, get to the bye week, do what we can. Get right game on both sides. Don't let up more than 20 points on defense and actually score more than 20 points on offense.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, even like in my prediction, even when the Jets are right, they've been able to take good advantage of them throughout time. And I'm still going to go 24-17. Like, I really don't think it's a blowout. I think the Bills are going to get too great pass happy. The Jets are going to be able to defend it a little bit. They're not going to run it down their throats, like you say. They tried it against KC, it didn't work. They're running into their own blockers. Singletary had a rough day.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Feliciano's back. I think Feliciano needs to play just to get right, get up, get going, and this is a good game to do that. And that will be a big help if you see Feliciano in the lineup. But if you're sitting Brown and you're sitting Milano, those are things that starts to tick down a little bit. That, like, sure, you can rest them for the Patriots next weekend. But at the same time, like, that starts to get, I mean, there's still NFL players across from you, and that gets razor thin as you start to take out. John Brown's a reason your offense is good. Matt Milano's a reason your defense is good. You're going to take out maybe another offensive lineman in this game. You know, they cut one, so hopefully Feliciano plays. I mean, there's just razor thin margins on this thing, and, you know, they have a nickel cornerback problem. You know, Cam Lewis is hurt, and, you know, Taron Johnson's been terrible. So I can't predict that they're going to be better than 24-7 or 24-17, and I don't think they're going to cover the spread. I don't think they're going to cover the spread going to New York. There's some pride in the Jets locker room. Maybe it's not for Gase. Maybe they're worried about getting traded. They're trying to find jobs though, and at the end of the day, something's going to happen. So if Sam Darnold comes 24-17, like you said though, Flacco. If I see Flacco's name in the lineup, I'm going 24-7. But 24-17 and a scarily close, maybe the score will be close in the game, but a scarily opportunity for Sam Darnold to maybe have a final drive or score late in an onside or something. But if Sam Darnold plays, I would imagine he's at least relatively healthy, Tyson. You would be able to tell me more. But if he goes, I think he'll be able to throw it. Otherwise, I just wouldn't see a reason that you wouldn't wait on him another week or two and play him down the stretch to increase his spring trade value and or try to get the most out of the rest of your team. I just cannot fathom why you rush him against a 4-2 Bills game. But you still have Adam Gase as your coach, right? So at the end of the day, I don't know.
Yeah, and the one thing about our defense, too, I didn't mention before, is, like, I think the Jets defense has to lead the league in rushing yards given up without contact. There has to be so many, like, 10-yard rushes without any contact against them, or like 10-yard passes with not a guy within 5 yards of the guy. So they have a lot of blown assignments. They play very, very sloppy on defense, which is surprising under Greg Williams. But there's just so many miscommunications, so many blown assignments, and they lack speed, man. Where you guys have some really explosive players like Diggs. Like, who's going to cover Diggs? I mean, this year's been awful. Yeah. You know, Bless Austin's been banged up. He's back, but he's not full speed either. So, like, our areas of weakness or your areas of strength. You know, so I think that's where you take advantage of it. And like I said, Flacco, forget it. If he plays, this game's gonna be a laugher. Like, you at halftime, you guys be, you know, sitting back watching the games. The game would just be a blowout.
Yeah, I'll go with that feeling. But whenever I see Sam, I like Sam Darnold too. Whenever I see him, I'm gonna think he's until I see it. I'm gonna think he's healthy enough to play. Until I see him in quarter one, like, all right, he's clearly not good Sam.
Yeah.
But until I see that, or if I see good Sam, I'm gonna be like, this is gonna be a 24-17 game because it's good Sam.
Good Sam's
plays reasonably well in division games, at least against the Bills and the Dolphins when he's healthy. So that's what I'm going to imagine happening. So we're going to have to watch and see what these injuries as the game goes on. You ruled him out on Wednesday last week. He's still in play now.
They're trying to give us some hope, but I'm not buying it. I mean,
Mm.
the last thing you want to see is him go out there and the Jets have notoriously mishandled injuries. They brought Le'Veon Bell
Seems
back
like
in
it.
with a hamstring injury. They brought C.J. Mosley back last year
Against the Bills.
he couldn't even move.
Yeah.
Like, when he walked out of the locker
Both
room,
teams again.
right? You walked out of the locker room like he can't play. Why is he on the field?
Right.
They just don't. And like you wonder if like Adam Gase is feeling so much pressure for his job right now. He's like, you know what? We're gonna play Sam. He's our best chance to win when he can't play. And then that's a fireable offense. Like that should be like, you know
That's
what?
a fireable offense.
Like you
That's
fire him
a-
at halftime,
for
like,
sure.
bro, this guy can't play. Why are you here? You need to go now. You know, like,
Just do the Joe Flacco throw it away experience again. Why are you?
so terrible, man.
Why are you going to now risk our, even if you don't want to keep him, risk our asset? You know, you're lowering our second round
Yeah.
pick to a fourth round pick
Yeah,
overnight.
knock him out for the year or something.
The one thing I will say is that, Tyson, you said that the Jets give up like the most yards before contact. Devin Singletary has 1.7 yards before contact on runs this year, which is the lowest for any starting running back in the NFL. So the Bills aren't good at run blocking. So if they're going to beat the Jets, that's not going to be how. It could be a get-right game.
McClendon's out now, but they just traded McClendon too. Quinn Williams hasn't played that great. Nathan
True,
Shepard's
true.
not even active. Like their strength is usually
Shepard's a
the run
guy I
defense.
like too. That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's not. It's just.
Yeah, well, it seems
How's-
the feeling's
how's your-
mutual about the game, yeah.
We'll wrap us up. How's your fans? So when you do a show, what are you getting in for questions and comments? What are people saying? I know I've seen some of your stuff, and you got some positive fans over there at some points. What's the positive spin, or what's going on in your shows now from week 7 on?
We've been doing we joined the live stream world now, so now we're live streaming during the games because there's really not much to do. We're all watching the game. We're all miserable,
That's fair.
and half it is just the fans are all like, can't believe Adam Gase hasn't been fired yet.
Okay.
Now we're to the point where we're questioning Joe Douglas because he's kind of tolerating all this, and then his free agent class hasn't been good. His draft class has all been hurt, so now we're kind of wondering about him. And then the final argument, this is really all throughout the game, is Sam Darnold or Trevor Lawrence. Like there's a portion of the fan base that says keep Sam, trade the pick, and build around him. The other part of the fan base is like, yeah, there's Sam Darnold has like the fan base is completely divided. There's a group that says, listen, Sam is the guy, but they've screwed him so bad. Take that number 1 pick, trade it down, get all these assets, draft receivers, draft all these guys, build around them, and do that. And the other fan base, the other part's like, listen, man, Trevor Lawrence is the guy. The rookie contract is important.
That's what I was going to say.
And then the fan base, we did a show last night, man, and it was like 2 hours of arguing about Trevor Lawrence or Sam Darnold. That's where we're at now. We're talking about draft now. Like nobody, and why is Adam Gase still in the building?
Yeah, because you have actual fans joining your pod, right? If I'm not mistaken.
We do a call-in show on
Yeah.
Tuesdays, and on our live stream, we actually answer questions the entire time. Like we answer comments the whole show, and it's just that's all it is, man. It's just
I can't. It's interesting that there is such a divide. I figured that they would be pretty pro one way or
Sam
the
has
other.
a big following, man. Because like a lot of people, we all know that he has talent, and we've seen glimmers of hope. Like his rookie year, he ended the season on fire.
Yeah,
he was toe to toe with
He
Aaron
was good.
Rodgers. He was throwing the ball all over the place. He looked awesome. And ever since then, they failed him. Like you look at the receivers, like you can't win with these guys. I mean, we see all the deficiencies. And you're like, if you give Sam Darnold what the Buffalo Bills have, where would he be right now? Or if he was in Kyler Murray's system, or even Baker Mayfield. I mean, Baker Mayfield's playing terrible, but like you give him that supporting cast, how much better would he be?
Probably a lot better. I was a big Sam Darnold guy coming out of college. Like I
So
genuinely
yeah.
did want the Bills to take him over Josh Allen, and I didn't think it was that close. And it's been fun seeing all the different perspectives of Josh Allen and everything. And I know I've asked you before, but the Titans guy that we had on a couple weeks ago was like super mega Josh Allen. It was number 1 quarterback, and that's not something I had heard a lot coming out of the draft from a lot of people.
Had him like 4th. It was like Rosen, Mayfield, Darnold. Lamar Jackson was kind of somewhere around there. Everybody kind of discounted Josh Allen and was like kind of like making fun of him. And the kid's worked his tail off, and it's been incredible. He's playing great football, minus the turnovers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Minus the turnovers and minus the last couple weeks, really.
Yeah, but I mean he's a lead. The thing I like about him, he's got some swag. He's a leader, man. Like guys gravitate to him. Like you can see he wants to win. He's working hard. Like he has that like leadership ability. He commands the huddle. Like you can see a lot of good things at him for a young quarterback.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold's body language is terrible.
Yeah, Diggs, Brown, and Beasley love playing for him. Another
That's true.
rookie to watch out for in this game, just for fun on your end, is Gabe Davis. If John
heard
Brown
that
doesn't go,
always, yeah.
they love him. They think he's right up there with the other rookie receivers in this talented class. So I would expect to see a lot of Gabe Davis and Cole Beasley in this game if we don't see a John Brown sighting. And even if you do, you still see a lot of 10 personnel, a lot of 4 receiver sets.
And that's our weakness because they're all hurt.
Be a good game for him to go out there, show what he can do as a rookie, and Josh Allen does like him.
You look at the Jets. If they have to go like nickel or dime, all their guys are all rookies, man. Lamar Jackson, they're all the Jets secondary is just defeated, man. They're just injuries, not playing well. This year's awful. Like it's just there's no depth and not much talent, and they lack speed.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you guys are in the division, but I do genuinely mean I hope it gets better for you guys sooner than later. It's fun to have a competitive division. It really is. But time will tell.
We've been there, man.
We have been. I didn't see a playoff
17-year
game.
playoff drought.
Seriously, I was 23 the time I saw a playoff game in person for the first time. So I completely get any suffering you guys feel. For anybody who wants to check out your work, maybe why don't you tell them where you're doing it, what you're doing?
Yeah, well, Let's Talk Jets Radio. First, thanks for having me. First of all, this has been a blast.
Of course.
Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube. It's where all our stuff is right now. We're doing live streams on Friday night, during the game, Monday nights. We're doing a lot of stuff. So just check us out there on YouTube is where we're at mostly. And Blog Talk Radio, Spreaker.com, iTunes, Google Play, final places that you guys are at. And we're just right now we're creating ways to stay interested, man, because it's not fun, it's not enjoyable. It's not. Cause we're always undermanned. We're gonna be we're gonna be outcoached every week.
Yeah.
And it's just this is as bad as it gets,
Well,
man.
We'll have to get you in on an AFC. We're gonna do an AFC East roundtable in the offseason. We're gonna have to get you in on it. Come maybe post draft So I know there's not much hope to see a playoff game here for you guys, but we'll have to get you in on something.
Yeah.
So we'll plan to have you on and a couple of our other.
Awesome.
We got the Dolphins guy. He's pretty pro Dolphins, so we'll get him on, and we'll do some type of roundtable call it in like May. But until then, man, good luck with that.
Yeah,
good luck with
on
everything.
Sunday. Enjoy the.
I hope you can too.
Wish I could go to it.
Yeah.
But next year will be hopefully semi-normal. So we'll have to do some more stuff next year. But
Absolutely.
We'll look forward to doing that roundtable maybe in the spring.
Cool. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for joining us. And you guys were always sponsored by Picasso's Pizza. They make my day by sending me pizza all the way to Long Island. They can send you pizza anywhere in the U.S. as well. You can get an order in now. It'll get there by game day. If you live in Buffalo, you can wait until game day. I promise you can do that, actually. But, get that delicious cup and char. They've been delivering amazing pizza for 4 generations in Buffalo. So give back to our friends at Picasso's. Great episode of Crowd Assist Podcast. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tyson from Wake. Them, all of Trainwreck Sports.